Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to continue with our favorite topic, photosynthesis. And I want to remind you that the big idea behind all this is the fact that plants produce their own food and they produce the food that feed all the animals of our planet as well. To remind you, on page 16, we had these vocabulary words that you need to know as we progress through these notes. And on page 17, we had this image, and I want you to notice that I've added some items to this. So before, we only had the things that were going into the process of photosynthesis. That was solar energy, carbon dioxide, and water. This is what your final image should look like. You need to add the oxygen that is released. Now, these were the things that were coming in to photosynthesis. This is what comes out of photosynthesis, okay? We have oxygen that's released into the air. That's a plus for us because we need that to survive. We have glucose that is made by the plant and used by the plant that comes out of the process, or that glucose can be eaten by an animal and used as its energy source. I want you to also notice that I've added the letters R, A, and P up at the top. We're going to come to discover in these notes that we call these ingredients used over here in photosynthesis, we call it R for reactant. And what you get out, what you produce from photosynthesis are these items over here, glucose and oxygen, and we call them products. And then the A is for the arrow, wrap. And you're going to need to know that little mnemonic phrase of wrap in 8th grade as well. So we might as well start practicing here with photosynthesis since it's a chemical reaction. So on our page 18, you should have drawn the leaf. And really what we're doing, we're zooming in from that plant into the leaf. But I want to make sure that I don't confuse you by this. So we have the leaf and it's showing that carbon dioxide enters into the stomatas that are on the leaf. It also shows that water enters through the stem into the leaf, and that radiant energy from the sun is absorbed by the chloroplast. And this is where this picture is not perfect because the stomatas are okay, but these chloroplasts are not. These chloroplasts would not be just loose in the leaf. They would actually be inside an entire cell. But they made them supersized jumbo like this just to show you that they are inside of the leaf and that's the part that absorbs the sunlight, okay? And then we added this new word, reactants, and we said a reactant are substances that go into the chemical reaction. And in this case, it is water, H2O, and carbon dioxide, C2O, that are the reactants. They're going to react together. They're going to mix together these two ingredients, and there's going to be a chemical reaction in the presence of sunlight that is going to give us our product that we call glucose. That's what they're going to make. So reactants are the initial ingredients needed for a chemical reaction to happen. So today you're going to add this chloroplast, and you know, I know it looks like there's a lot of detail, but you don't have to, it's pretty much kind of an oval where it looks like somebody took a bite out of it and then what looked like poker chips stacked up. And this is kind of a zoomed in version of a chloroplast. And what I want you to see is that the same things that, of course, go into the plant, then go into the leaf, this is where all those ingredients, all those reactants actually end up in the chloroplast. So we have sunlight coming in, and it's absorbed by these little discs that sort of look like poker chips in the chloroplast. But we're also that water that we talked about coming into the stem and the carbon dioxide coming into the stomata. This is where it's all going to end up. We're going to have water and carbon dioxide find their way into the chloroplast along with the sunlight to produce the product which we call glucose. Okay? And I've added these letters to remind you. The R stands for reactant, the A stands for arrow, and the P stands for product. And this is the order that it happens. Reactants react together, and then we follow the arrow, and it says, this is what you made. Okay, so it's pointing to what it's making, the product. And in our case, because we're talking about photosynthesis, it's going to be glucose. I also want you to notice that I added the word in, because this is what goes into the equation or the reaction. And then this is what comes out of the reaction, the product, which is glucose and oxygen. And lucky for us, because we as animals, need these things to survive, right? Whether you're a grasshopper or a human, you need glucose to give energy to your body, and you need oxygen to give for you to respirate in. All right. So in your notebook, it's actually going to be like this, sideways, but I put another copy for now so we can just talk about it up and down. But you won't see this copy in your interactive notebook. You will see this one. It's the same thing, but for now, I also threw in this little image down here. So this is the photosynthesis equation, okay? What goes in, and I forgot to write the words, what comes out, okay? So what goes into the equation again is carbon dioxide and water. The carbon dioxide comes into the stomatas, the little pores in the plant, and then water enters the roots. And in the presence of sunlight, they're going to react together, these reactants. See how those words go together? Reactants, and they react together. And it's going to undergo a chemical reaction. And what comes out is glucose and oxygen. Okay? Now the glucose, the plant is going to store in its roots and its leaves. And when it needs it, it'll go pull that out. Or it can be eaten by an animal and used for its energy. The other thing that comes out of these things reacting together, another product is oxygen. And those same little holes where the carbon dioxide went in, the stomata, is going to be where the oxygen is going to come out. So in a way, it's sort of like animals, right? Animals, we breathe in, oxygen comes in, we breathe out, carbon dioxide goes out. Plants, it's the opposite. They take in carbon dioxide, they put out oxygen. Okay, so you can see this is a nice little relationship we have with plants. We breathe out the carbon dioxide, it goes into the plant. The plant uses it in the presence of water and sunlight, produces glucose, and it gives us back oxygen. So a nice little relationship there. So what goes in are the products. What comes out are the reactants. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what it is that comes out and what happens to this glucose. And that is the end of our Wednesday notes. Again, in your homework for the day is to put this page into your interactive notebook. You're also going to add this big old jumbo chloroplast and some of these notes that I've added to what you had from the day before on that page, as well as this page here. I added the mnemonic phrase wrap to show you that these are the reactants on this side. There's the arrow, that means the chemical equation is kind of running, and it ends up here on the products. Okay, so you need to go back and add this to page 17. Add this to page 18, and that would be 19. And this is what you're going to add to page 20. Alrighty? Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.